Awesome. Well, let's get to going to baseball chatter here. Enough of the sad stuff.
Let's get to the nuts and bolts here. Come on, let's go, Kel. Let's get it going.
We got a winner here. Let's milk him for everything he knows. Let's talk about style. Let's talk about playing style. I know we have to adapt each year on, based what we have on as a team. You talked about that a little bit earlier with, having more of a defensive mindset of team because, you didn't hit a bunch. You had to focus on your strengths, right? But, when you close your eyes, all things considered, what's the brand of baseball that you want at Richland, and maybe some absolutes, no matter what your roster looks like, what are some things that you guys really want to hammer in to try to match your style of play?
I like to play baseball the way baseball is meant to be played. It might be different if we were playing with red line Secors and, the bats of the late 90s and early 2000s, because then we probably could go score 10 to 20 runs every game. But the truth of the matter is, I try to tell these guys all the time, you're not strong enough. You might think you're strong enough because you can hit a home run in BP when it's blowing 30 miles an hour out. But the reality is, you're not gonna. In my first 10 years, I think we maybe had 4 home runs at Richland High School. Like, it's just the BB core era has changed. I wish they'd just go to wood bats, to be honest with you. But the expectation is that players are team players, and they know the situation. They know the situation before they even get up, right? Like, we push that into guys. Like, when you're on deck and in the hole, and in 2018, I made the move to coach out of the dugout. Charlie Moody took over at third base, and I miss it. I do miss being out there, but I could have so many more quality conversations, not just with guys that are about to hit, but with the young guys that are in the dugout, right? Situations happen because you're not only coaching for the game, you're coaching for the next game or the next week or the next year to plant that seed in those guys' head, because then when it comes time for them to do it, they've heard it. Or when you're coaching it that next week, they've heard it and they kind of know what to expect. And so it's not just one thing. It's so many little things that I would miss a ton of them if I tried to spell them out right now. But, just the situational hitting, the productive outs that you don't see. And coaches preach that all the time, productive outs, move a guy over. You don't get a sacrifice nothing for moving a runner from second to third with nobody out. But guess what? When that guy scores, and puts us up 1-0 in the first inning, I feel a heck of a lot more confident stealing bases in the second, the third, the fourth inning when I have a lead. And with the pitching staff that I had, and I'm lucky. I'm the luckiest coach in Washington State right now because I've had pitchers that I feel confident can go give us quality innings. And we work our tails off defensively to be able to make every routine play is our goal, right? Make every routine play. Errors are going to happen here and there. We want to make every routine play. If you make a great play, awesome. But we want you to make every routine play. And if we can do that, and if we can score 1 or 2 runs, all of a sudden we can steal a base. Pitchers get uncomfortable. I talked about base running. We focus on base running. And one of I feel like I'm giving secrets away, right? But I think everybody knows this stuff. It's just a matter of we really drive it home with these guys. Like, if you get a runner on second base, don't just sit there at second. Make the pitcher think about you, because if the pitcher's thinking about you, he's not thinking about the hitter. And when he's not thinking about the hitter, that's when he misses his where he's trying to throw it. And when he misses that, that's when those home runs and doubles happen. It doesn't happen from swinging out of your behind like a lot of guys want to believe. We see a lot of quality pitchers and they can hit their spots most of the time if they're only focused on that hitter. And so, base runners, obviously base runners is huge, but when a base runner can affect the game that way that nobody sees, nobody knows that, right? 95 or more % people don't understand what a base runner can do to a pitcher and just change a game. And so, those little conversations like that to be able to have in the dugout, I think has been tremendous. And on top of the basic stuff, like, hey, this is what he's throwing, right? He hasn't thrown a fastball for a strike, trying to get kids to understand that type of stuff of don't just go up and look for a pitch down the middle. You're not going to get it. Don't look for a pitch middle in. You're not going to get it. If you do, it's a mistake. And if you're looking middle away and he throws middle in, you're probably going to be able to turn your hands and rip that ball. You're going to hit it a lot further than you would have had you been looking middle in. So, that's a lot of those little things that we really just try to drive home. And I feel fortunate to have a guy in Charlie Moody that does a good job over at third base and Jason Martinez at first base, so that I can be in that dugout. Because, if we didn't have those guys out there, I couldn't do that. And help influence the way our guys go about the game. But yeah, I'm definitely old school, and that's probably influenced more so by the fact that our bats are dead, to say the least. But then again, I also get really mad watching Major League Baseball sometimes, and it's like, dude, like runner at second base and nobody out, and you're gonna pop a ball up to the infield, like you didn't even try to hit a ball the other way. But I have seen some safety squeezes here and there, and that's one of my favorite plays. And so I get pretty giddy every time I see a major league team do that. Like, yeah, I was like, I don't have a favorite team per se. I grew up a Cubs fan. I actually got to go to Wrigley Field this summer, which was awesome. But I get so giddy when I see a team do that. I was like, oh, I want them to win. I want them to win the World Series, right? Because they're playing baseball the right way. But so yeah, I'm definitely more old school than new school, dip and drive. But there are a lot of factors in that.
How are you guys practicing those things? I know you talk about talking the game, and that's a big part of it too. But are you guys drilling that stuff in practice where you're working on, maybe setting the scene for everyone hits with a runner at second, nobody out, or we're setting up a first and third and doing some type of bunt scrimmage or something like that? How do you guys kind of practice those things in a practice setting that show up in a game most often for you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we'll set up a bunt station from time to time, but the most valuable things you can do is have live hitters do it, or live pitchers. All right. If you can have live pitchers throw and get guys to, and we'll put guys at first and third, and we'll run safety squeezes with pitchers and just getting those reads. Because again, if you don't practice it, it's not going to happen in a game. If it does, you're lucky. So it's high school baseball is so tough because you get 2 weeks before your first game. And so we're always adamant about, we're not trying to be the best team at the beginning of the season. That's unrealistic. And if you are, you're probably not going to be at the end of the year. Our goal is to be the best at the end. I always try to remind guys that, hey, our goal, we don't need to be the best right now, right? We need to be the best at the end. And here's what we got to do to get there. And so, yeah, obviously, running those bunt scrimmages, off live pitchers is tremendous. If we have to do it with a coach pitching, we'll do it with a coach pitching, but you get so much more out of it when you get a live arm in there. Guys are seeing live arms bunting, they're reacting, the base runners are reacting, and so on. The more you can do that in practice, the better, but it's always a challenge because there's not enough time to get ready for that season. So you really just got to look at it with that mid-season goal in mind, that, okay, we're going to have most of it down by middle of the season. And then, that last half of the season, you're just perfecting things. So it's tough, man. Coaching high school is tough. Can't work with kids out of season. Like it's tough. I've always asked, like, can I coach or can I teach a baseball class? Right? Can I do that? Can we do something like that? Is that legal? No. All right. Well, at least I could go over bunt Ds and things like that if that were the case. So,
right. Well, that's almost I guess we get 2 weeks, and then you get to your jamboree, your first game, and you're like kind of having, I wouldn't say a mini panic attack. We're like, crap, we haven't covered this, and this.
Yeah.
You feel like you're not doing your job, and then they're like, well, we've had 2 weeks. And
Yep, exactly.
Yeah,
it's tough.
So we need to advocate right now tonight. WIA needs to give us more time, right?
I'm sure they're listening.
Well, I always hear that they're gonna, right? I always hear there's going to be new rules, but they never it never pans out, except for I also heard they're going to do this whole what do they call it, the transfer portal thing. So we'll see if that comes to that. God, I hope not, man.
That'll change the game for sure.
Yeah,
especially in big cities.
Oh yeah, seriously. People, Richland, you'll love that at Richland. It's like, no, as much as it would be great to get these all-stars coming in, like, there's something to say about kids being in your program from a young age up, right? They start to learn the process. We try to get our freshman coach involved in a lot of our practices so he knows what to push on those young kids. And so, it's challenging. I mean, don't get me wrong. If we get a guy coming over, is he a good kid, right? But you know, who knows what the future holds. It could be a crazy next 5 or 10 years. So.
Well, and that Tri-Cities prep budget's pretty hard to compete with sometimes. So,
you know, you got to throw that in there. Always has to go throw it in there, you guys. Yeah, that's right.
And some of the world we live in, I guess it's different from different levels, and maybe you can have different persuasive factors to get kids to buy into it. But you know, some of the things that maybe kids are fighting a little bit, like, no, we just need to sit here and swing and not buying into the game of bunting or you know, being aggressive with base stealing. You know, how are you combating those guys? I guess at a bigger program, you have more people that say, well, okay, well, if he does it, you know, but like, it's a battle sometimes.
It is a battle. You know, and to go, honestly, I blame summer baseball for a lot of stuff, and maybe I shouldn't, but I know I'm going to get in trouble with some guys, but I am appreciative for the guys having the opportunities to play over the summer, because you know, all in all, they're getting reps, they're getting at bats, but it's definitely different than it used to be. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, you know, just getting guys to buy into the team first off, before you get them to buy into you know, bunting or swinging for the fence or things like that. Just getting them to buy into you know, what's important at Richland High School. And really it's in winning. We put a lot on winning, and again, maybe we shouldn't, but it's not just we want to win. It's, hey guys, like, we want you to get better. We want to win, and this is how you're going to do it. Right. And I have kids all the time. I mean, Chris Daniels graduated for me last year. I love Chris to death, but I can't tell you how many times he came out of his shoes and I look at him like, dude, you could hit home runs, not like that. Nobody could hit home runs like that. Right. And that guy, he could turn on. I mean, he hit one of the hardest balls I've ever seen hit against Woodinville in the regional championship game or something. But so he could run into it, but you know, even he knows when he buys in and he tries to hit the ball the other way, like, he's just different. You're just a different player then. And so, you know, I don't know what the you know, magic ticket item is to get kids to buy into that stuff. I guess you drill it enough, and, you know, you remind them that, hey, you know, we got all these banners on the fence, and, you know, it didn't come from one guy. It came from a team of guys, and they worked together and so on. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm kind of a jerk sometimes, and I let kids know you're not strong enough to hit a home run. You're not going to hit any home runs. You can't hit it. But I mean, you know, we actually we'll run kids if they hit fly balls in BP. Not right away, but if we're hitting too many fly balls, like, you know what? Like, get the ball out of the air. Fly ball is the easiest ball to catch. I always say, you know, my big, you know what, could run and catch a fly ball. Right? You hit a ball on the ground, that's a hard play, especially on natural fields. It's a little different on a turf field, but even on turf field, you hit a ball hard on the ground, that's a hard play. Fly balls are easy. And you know, with the bats we have now, those fly balls, they just don't go anywhere. And so you start reminding kids that, you know, and sometimes you get them a little mad at you too. They hit a ball hard and like, oh, and you're like, that's an out. Like, before anything, that's an out. And so, I don't know. I guess just driving that into their head that you know, the right way to play the game, and remind them of the successes and how to get there and so on. But I don't know. I think the kids honestly have a lot more to do with that than anything, because they police themselves. We tried to build that culture where the kids really put a lot on each other because they want to win. You know, I haven't had a team that doesn't want to win. So, you know, you get a good quality group with good leaders, and they do a lot of that themselves, or they'll at least be your echo chamber when, you know, after you've drilled that into their heads. So,
yeah, Grant, you see that a lot in the style of you, just the way you coach. You know, you pull guys. I mean, especially that semifinal game. I don't know how many guys did you use out of that game. I mean, you were just pulling guys left to right, and they were just stepping up. You know.
Pitching wise or hitting wise?
Just overall. I mean, you had a lot of moving parts there, which is very unusual for a high school coach to do. I mean, that's like big league style, man.
Yeah, we did. And I'm probably a little anal about, you know, being prepared, and, you know, my staff is as well. And like I said, we knew going in what our plan was. I didn't expect to go 12 innings in that game, and thank God Chris Daniels threw 90 something pitches, but you just, I guess you do it long enough, you start to look at every angle, almost like you're playing chess, right? And you know, you really don't use it most of the time, but those times that you do use it. And I go back to my sophomore catcher, Hayden Galloway, being ready to go in that state championship game to catch that final hitter. If he's not ready, then he probably doesn't block that ball because he's not ready. If he's rushing to get out and he doesn't have his gear on, and you just never know. And we try to put the kids in positions to be successful, and anything that we can do as a coaching staff to help that. We put an emphasis on doing our job well so that those kids can have more success.
How are you guys preparing the youth scene with what you have? Do you guys do anything with spring break camps, or you try to get out and watch some of those kind of youth games? How do you kind of identify that crop that you have coming up? Is it word of mouth? Is it certain things? How are you involved within the community there?
That's probably one of the things that I've changed most about what I do as the head guy of the organization. We do. I mean, we've done camps for a long time. But it went from being like, oh, we're doing it to fundraise, to now we're just doing it to get kids out there. And we give away as part of the camp Bomber t-shirts. And I like, one of my favorite things is seeing a kid in a store wearing a Bomber baseball shirt that I know it's a camp shirt, right? But it doesn't say camp. It just says Bomber baseball. So it's like a similar shirt that we wear as coaches and players. And, I'll just walk up randomly. A kid probably has no idea who I am. A little kid, he just came to a camp, right? I mean, it's I do a little talking at the camp, but it's about the players. They want to be around the players, and so I'll always watch. Hey, give them nuts. Hey, nice shirt, dude. I like it. I get some looks, and there's some moms every now and then like, who's that guy, right? Like, probably a little weird, but it makes me really happy to see a lot of kids around the community wearing Bomber baseball shirts, and so we've been doing that for a long time, but we've kind of changed the way we go about it. It's more of a just get kids involved, get them in front of our players, and just meet the kids and so on. And so that, I think that helps a lot. Kind of shows those kids where they're going to be someday, right? And something else we started doing the last couple of years is we actually, we have Little League nights where kids, Little League kids, come to our games, and they get in free if they're wearing their uniform. And I think that's gone on for a long time. But we actually started doing a Bomber night, Bomber baseball at Little League night. So we'll take a night in April or May or something after practice, and we'll go, and I buy the guys all dinner, whether it's Dairy Queen. I know the owners of Dairy Queen over here pretty well. They cut us a pretty good deal, or pizza or something, right? I'll buy them dinner, and I'll say, hey, let's go. Wear your jersey or wear your Bomber stuff, and let's go watch the Little League games. And so those guys, man, they embrace it. They walk up and they'll start cheering on those Little League kids. They'll walk up and give them nuts and so on. And these Little League kids are like they're just in awe, like, oh my God, the Bombers are here watching us, right? And it honestly doesn't take a lot of time, but it makes such a big difference in those kids and their outlook on Richland High School. And not that it was ever bad, but I mean, I'm trying to think back when I was a kid. I don't know what I'd have done if a Richland Bomber would have come up to me and been like, hey, dude, nice hit or whatever, like, just freeze. But, we just try to do that to give back a little bit, because we get a lot of support from the community as well. And so, ironically, a year or two, I told our school district, I said, hey, this would be a good story if you guys want to come, watch our guys cheer on the Little League kids. And, it's just crickets. So it's, I won't say anything else negative about my school district. I'll keep that to myself.
Don't cross the line.
I think it's so important, like, for anyone to have something to strive for, right? And I think just a big kid in a uniform, when you're watching, remember that growing up, going to the high school game and just seeing this massive giant kid who probably wasn't that big in the grand scheme of things, but they got the uniform, it's the lights, it's all that going on. And I think a lot of the youth scene, right, is about what's next, right? And what's next is making your high school team, and then being a starter on your high school team, and then from high school it's getting a look at college, and then being a starter at college. So it doesn't matter really what age it's at. Like, if you have that eye on the prize is a really important thing to have, and the more that we can include our communities into it, right? And that's where high school baseball is so pure now, right? It's the one thing where you have something to play for, for your school, for your area, for your town. And the more people you get involved, it makes it that much more fun. And being at some of your guys' games over there, it's an awesome environment, right? It's a big stands. It's a little funky setup, right, with that long backstop, but it's cool to see a packed house, and the old timers in the front row, and the lawn chairs, and they got their pocketbooks. They know who's who. They're talking about the glory days and what this guy and what that was, and that's the fun part, right? You see it in the movies, but it still exists out there in real life. And it's awesome to see.
It does. Yeah, no, it is. We got some great fans, and that's probably one of my biggest regrets is not doing more of that early on in my career. And I had young kids, and I got the job in 2013, and I had a 1-year-old daughter and a 3-year-old daughter, and so I look back, it's like, man, I wish I would have spent more time involving Little League. And better late than never, I guess. But that's definitely my biggest regret from my time here is not doing that stuff sooner. But at the time, it just it made more sense for me to be home more than away. So you asked about young coaches, like if you make time, it goes a long way for those kids in the community, because not just the players, but those parents of the Little League parents, they love it too. They think it's really cool that their kids getting so excited. So,
that's cool. Grant, you're not only a head baseball coach at Richland, but you're also coaching basketball as well as football. What is being a coach of multiple sports has really taught you to become a better high school baseball coach?
That's hard to sum up. I think 3 years ago it was my assistant coach, Charlie Moody, he's been coaching basketball for a long time at the middle school, and Tim Ruane retired from teaching, and he was coaching, he was our assistant coach here at Richland High for a long time. And he retired, and Moody asked if I wanted to come help out. So, it's like, yeah, I think I do. I talked to the wife and thought, okay, we can do that. And so I started doing it, and it's funny. I played basketball my freshman year in high school. I can play pickup basketball, and I don't move very well. I don't jump very well, but I know what to do. In that first year, I call myself, I was a YouTube coach, right? But it has taught me so much appreciation for things that I don't know. Or things I can't coach very well, right? Because I feel like I can coach kids in just about anything, but knowing what to coach and how to really get deep with it, right? Because I get some players. I mean, Josh, the Woodard boys went through Chief Joe, where I coach middle school basketball, and I remember the first year Jackson Woodard was there, and he's a sophomore for me now, but I felt like I just didn't want to screw up. I didn't want to mess these kids up, and so. It definitely gives you a different perspective when you don't feel like I feel like with baseball, I definitely don't know everything. And I've learned that you can't know everything about baseball. Every year you learn something new. I mean, that's just how baseball is. There's so many different factors, but I feel like I could sit and talk baseball forever, right? I could just go and go and go. With basketball, it's like, okay. I'm watching videos on the 5-out offense, 4-out motion off, this and that, man-to-man defense, right? And so just learning something new, I think just gave me a greater appreciation for that coaching aspect that I took for granted because I'd been around baseball for so long, that you just start to realize, okay, like there's always more. There's always more. But I've had a blast coaching middle school basketball, and now I'm coaching. I'm helping coach my son's AAU team, my daughter's AAU team. I got caught coaching my son's flag football team. So I think right now I got 3 different teams I'm helping coach right now. And so I told my wife, it was funny the other day, I said to my wife, I was like, man, I feel like baseball seasons, I'm not as busy during baseball season right now. And she kind of looks at me. She goes, well, I'm definitely busier during baseball season, because at least now I'm coaching my kids and I can take them there in the springtime. My wife, bless her heart, she's driving the kids all over. My parents help us out. They're driving the kids all over. And thankfully they just kind of understand, like, all right, Grant's busy till 6:30, or Grant, I couldn't do it without them. At least I couldn't do it, and I couldn't have a great family like I do right now without the help of my wife and my parents. It's I think people forget about that, what the wives sacrifice to allow the husbands to coach, and it is a lot. And she'll remind me every now and then that it's a lot, but it is a lot, and I know that, I appreciate it every year that she's scrambling and trying to get to baseball. I mean, they don't even get to that many of my baseball games anymore because my son's playing Little League now. My daughter's in club soccer. My daughter's a heck of a swimmer. I mean, God, it's funny. Everybody always asks, Granny, your daughter's going to play softball? I was like, man, I hope not. Right. I'm trying to say that out loud. Right. But she's a swimmer. She's not a land athlete, but you put her in a pool, man, she's got a stinking jet engine on her. And she's got a work ethic like nothing else. And so I love being able to watch my kids compete and stuff, and get away from the baseball field from time to time as well. So,
man, amen to that, because that is such a huge thing to have support at home, because it ain't easy.
No. That's for sure. I don't know. When my son's 9, when he graduates, it's like, what am I going to do with all this time?
Yeah.
I'll probably fish and hunt. I'm sure I can I'll golf. I think I golf like 3 times a year now, but I'm sure I'll fill the hours, but it's going to be different. So I as busy as I am, I love it. I like being busy. I don't like being bored. So, yeah. So it's a good time.
Well, our final question of the night was a writing question from a loyal listener, I'll just say. And I did reach out first, and I said, hey, do you have any Grant Richardson questions for the podcast tonight? And the texter wrote in, his name's Kevin Agnew. Oh, no, I can't. Not the one that would get him into big trouble. So that was a must tonight. But you can always share a good Kevin Agnew story. He said not to ask, though. So I don't.
Oh, yeah. Kevin and I lived together my junior year at WSU. It was the baseball house. And so what happens at the baseball house stays at the baseball house. Right?
Easy enough.
We had a good time. And yeah, there's a lot of stories to go on. Hopefully nothing that'll get me in too much trouble. At least not that I remember, right? But no, we had a good time there, and I've known Kevin for a lot of years now, and I'd love to sit down and chat with him a little bit too. But yeah, we're not going to tell any of those stories.
No, we'll save those for the coach's social. Well, Grant, thank you so much. I mean, if you want any parting thoughts, that was such an awesome episode, man. We truly appreciate you kicking this. We literally said, I mean, I was just throwing a pun out there because of your mascot, but we did start the season with a heck of a that's for sure.
No, I appreciate it. I could sit and talk baseball all day long. Sometimes I feel like I was talking too much about myself, but it's been a heck of a journey. And my son asked me, Dad, are you going to be coaching the Richland Bombers when I get there? And so I know I at least got another 9 years at Richland High School, and after that we'll see what happens. If he's lucky enough to go play somewhere, I'm not going to miss that for the world. So
that's cool.
Yeah,
absolutely. Well, hey, thank you again. We truly appreciate it. And Kelly and Jason, I'll be back here in a second to wrap up this episode.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Grant.
Now entering from the bullpen,
hey, good news. It was still on there from last year, guys. Hey, we're getting this figured out. Year 5. Let's wrap this thing up. Pretty excited to kick off season 5. And we'll talk how we talked in the beginning about, it's kind of bonkers where we came from season 5. But what a cool way to start this. Coach Richardson doing something that we all dream about. We've read books about, the movies of going undefeated, winning it all, but he lived it. And that was kind of cool to hear their story. So how about eeny, meeny, miny, mo? Jason, kick us off.
All righty. Well, I'll tell you what, that having Coach Richardson on was pretty good start of season 5 here for us. And, just thinking about what he kind of talked about here today is just, man, that mindset to be able to come back after being fired in 2017 and win a state championship and be able to rally your troops and just kind of really tells you the measure of this guy's character, really. I mean, the no quit attitude, right? Just keep fighting to the end. And, most coaches probably would have just threw up their hands and, said, "Hey, I'm done. I'm not going to fight this. Okay. If that's what they want, that's what they want." But, and it's just true testament to the way he coaches too. If you guys ever get out to a Richland Bomber baseball game this next spring, these guys are a lot of fun to watch. There's a lot of moving parts, and, they implement a lot of small ball stuff. I mean, they steal a lot. They hit in situations a lot. I mean, you just never know what he's going to bring to the table. He literally runs, plays the game like a game of chess. And that's why the success that Grant's had is, being, multi state championship coach. I mean, there's coaches out there that have been coaching for 20 years that don't even have one. So, he has a total of 4 there. I mean, 1 as a player and 1 as assistant, and 2 currently right now. And I mean, he's probably going to get a lot more by the time his tenure is done as a coach there at Richland High. But they put out a lot of good, solid players, and he's done well with the program there at Richland High.
I'll go next. Yeah, that was awesome hearing him talk about everything going through it. It's something that you might not think as a coach, some of the things that you'll go through and the tough times that you will go through. It's not going to be if, it's a matter of when, in whatever situation you're in, from example, and how to learn from things and handle it and survive through it all. I don't know if say survive is the right words to put in that talk about it, but to be able to handle the situation. I think one of the biggest things he talked about, and it was something that I learned finally, but it did ruin a season for us in the long term of, the loudest ones aren't necessarily the ones that are the supportive ones, right? There's always just one loud one or 2 loud ones, or sometimes there's more, but usually it's one. And as a coach, not allowing that one loud one to affect the other 18, 20 some guys in your program, or bigger than that, because that's something I did. I let it affect me. And there was one angry parent, one situation that wasn't even in my control, but it completely ruined our season. And we had one of those games he talked about where they lost to the team that hadn't won a game, and we beat a team something fierce in a doubleheader early in the season, and I let that stuff bother us, and it bit us in the butt come in when a loser out game where we had to play against this team, and it was just I hope that there's a young coach or just any coach that might be going through it here soon, or if you haven't gone through it, that maybe that's listening to the episode tonight will prepare you for some of the things that can happen in this profession, because we love it. It's something we absolutely love to do. As high school coaches aren't getting rich off of it, and people need to understand that the majority of us are there for all the right reasons. And I was glad to hear that story, and I'm hoping that there's somebody listening tonight that truly helps. Kelly's fighting his cat. Go to our YouTube channel and see that.
I think Mr. Banks is winning.
He's losing.
Great time tonight. Very ferocious. Such a human. It's Halloween month. You got a black cat. It's his time to shine.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, I think the ones that are successful in this, it's all about style, right? And knowing what your style of play is, and being really, really committed to it, and not straying away from it no matter what, right? And it's so much better to do the wrong thing, or teach the wrong thing, or have the wrong philosophy with conviction, right, than it is to have in your eyes, what you think is the right thing and not be convicted for it, right? So his brand of baseball, the things that they do, their commitment to the things that help them win games has allowed it to happen, right? And the talent aspect of it, and he was very humble in saying that, right? And I think we all know that the Tri-Cities area has been very, very strong in baseball, for a lot of different programs there. I mean, Jason's a benefactor too, but I mean, multiple programs have had a lot of success over there in the baseball scene. And a lot of that is just their commitment at the youth levels, right? And he made a point at saying that, how they are committed at the youth levels to, that next crop of players are going to be there. So when they get there, they're all fired up, to be a part of that program, and then automatically they're bought in, right? They're going to fall into the lines of the system, with a committed coach and committed players. And when you put those two pieces together, you're going to be really successful. And when you get the talent in there too, look out. So yeah, it was great to hear that inside of what was going on, and being able to kind of see some of that action the last couple of years over there at his regionals, and then watching the game live this year in the 4A state title, in the semifinal too, just to kind of see some of those games was awesome moments. And I think we didn't get a chance to ask him too in the moment, or get really into that nitty gritty of what it's like in the moment. We talked about it a little bit, but you're just thinking about what's next, right? You're not thinking about the past. You're not dwelling on mistakes. Us as coaches, like you can't worry about what just happened. Like the moment's over, and you've heard that in movies and other stuff too. Like, don't worry about the moment. The moment's over. Like, you have to just find a way to move forward and be successful. So that was great to hear that inside of being a fan, and him going back and watching it again and being nervous because you're out of the moment at that point, right? You're just taking in everything. So I think the biggest thing is to do not dwell as a coach on what's going on around you, and just stay positive and know that better things are going to happen at the end if you keep doing what you're committed to being able to do. So that was a really awesome insight from him there.
Yeah, absolutely. That was really cool. That was fun to hear about that. It's something that everybody that hasn't won one yet wants to know, right? And it's cool to hear an open book on that and where they were. Fired up. That wraps up this will wrap up part 2 of our episode with Coach Grant Richardson from Richland High School. Big thank you to him for coming on, taking time. I know we're all busy, crazy world, and he's running around chasing a lot of kids and coaching a lot of sports. So that's pretty cool that he took time to come on with us. Please go follow our social media accounts. Easy search Pacific Northwest Fungo Banner. Maybe it's PNW Fungo Banner. I don't know. The guy that did all that setup, he's kind of out there a little bit. Not even all the same. We are also now, hopefully you're listening to us on all your normal podcast, but we are on iHeartRadio now and Amazon Music, which I haven't tried it yet, but I'm pretty sure you can get Alexa to listen to us. So when you're in your kitchen doing whatever, hey Alexa, play the Fungo Banner. See what happens. It's awesome. Big thank you to our sponsors, Safeguard out of the Tri-Cities there, with all the great Fungo Banner swag that we've had along the way and all the good stuff that's to come. I know the latest hats that Jason had designed up there, they're quite the hit from our clinic last February. So big thank you to Safeguard for coming on. They've been with us from the very beginning, and just so grateful for them. Big thanks to Max BP for jumping on again. We are so excited to have them on for the second year. What a great company. Go check them out. You got Frost Gear, you got Heavy Swing. There's going to be more to come with that as we go on. And our latest and newest partner at Top Tier Sports with Mr. Gao here. Go check them out. Go to their website. Just Google Top Tier Sports if you don't know the website. It's toptiersports.net, I believe, right, Kel? Or .com. He's nodding his head. Yes. So go check them out. If you are looking for summer ball tournaments, Google it. There's tournaments all over the Pacific Northwest. Maybe even here in Ellensburg. It's beautiful in the summer. The wind doesn't blow ever. It's great. In the summer, actually. In the spring, it blows. In the summer, it's great. But no, go check them out. What an opportunity to go get some games on the weekends and play some pretty competitive teams. And pretty excited to have them on, and some fun things on the docket for those guys. And if you are playing in one of their tournaments and already signed up, there might even be some live shows coming up for you to see in person before we post it live. So big thanks to them. And lastly, please go subscribe to our podcast and wherever you're listening to us. The 2 minutes that you do that, subscribe, leave a little review on how great it is. 5 stars only. If you're going to leave a 1 star, don't do it. It's great. You can do something else. But go, please just review it, because your 2 minutes of that might be what boosts this podcast enough to a new baseball coach's ears who may be looking for baseball talk, answers to whatever they might be looking for, and just maybe someone just wants to listen to this great game, and maybe your review changes the algorithm for what they're looking for. So without further ado, let's go ahead and wrap this thing up as we wrap up our second episode of the year in season 5. Thank you guys. Excited to see your 2 smiling ugly mugs on the old video screen here. I'm glad the kitty's back and doing well, and it's about to be Halloween for Kelly's cat. It's good stuff. So Mr. Biggles, I can't remember his name. We'll be back with a new episode next week with brand new guests. Until then, take care.